Good morning, everybody, and thanks again, and welcome to my channel. So, I'm going to now continue with our series of interviewing super interesting people. And today we have John Mcluckie, and he is the owner of Gold Coast Hypnotherapy. Welcome, John.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm not sure if I'm an interesting person. It's kind of my clients' stories are more interesting than myself.
Yes, but that's what makes you interesting, because you've got all these interesting stories. So you are the ultimate storyteller.
Yes, I'm sort of more famous. Well, not famous, but more well known for the kind of hypnotherapy. I do clinical hypnotherapy and spiritual hypnotherapy, but I'm sort of more well known for a beautiful lady's method. Dolores Cannon up here, her QHHT, she created it. I'm a level 3 certified practitioner of her method, and one of only 2 males that have passed the test. I was only the 16th person in the world to qualify as a level 3, and the very first here in Australia or New Zealand. So I'm very blessed and very humbled to do the kind of hypnosis that I love doing. I love exploring people's consciousness and their superconscious. I just love it.
But what is QHHT?
It's a form of hypnosis where we actually get in contact with people's subconscious or their higher self or their superconscious. It's the part of people that everybody has it. Everybody has their gut feeling. Everybody knows what a gut feeling is. It's the, I explain it like this. Sometimes people, even on their wedding day, they know that they shouldn't be going through with the wedding. They just know it. Every cell in their body is going, I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be doing this. They might hear it in their head going, this is wrong. I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be doing this. That's their gut intuition screaming at them. Now, most people don't listen to themselves. They don't listen to that part of themselves. So a lot of people will go through with that wedding because their conscious mind, their human part of their mind will say, well, I don't want to let anybody down. A lot of people have paid for this wedding, so I don't want to let them down. Or they'll say, well, hopefully the person will change, but deep down inside their heart, they know that it's a disaster, and they're willing to go through with it. So then in that circumstance, and sometimes people know right from the first date that it's the wrong person, but they'll just continue through and they'll go through with that marriage. And that marriage will, sometimes it might last for 3 months, sometimes it might last for 3 years. Sometimes they might just, because of the conditioning of society, they might just go through it their whole life. But they'll always look back right to their wedding day and go, I wish I just listened to myself. I knew I shouldn't have done it. I wish I listened to myself. In QHHT, we actually contact that part of them, their own intuition, their higher self or their superconscious. It's always within us. It's that soul spark within us. It's there to guide us. Our intuition is there to guide us. It's not there to control us. Most people don't follow their own intuition, whereas this technique that Dolores Cannon created contacts it, so that people will actually be talking through themselves. It's not us giving the client any answers. It's actually that part of them that knows everything. So in a QHHT session, people come in with a big list of questions, or they have body ailments that they want healed. It's not the facilitator. It's not me that do anything. It's it's their higher self, it's their superconscious. And then if they want help, well then in the session they might ask for a spirit guide or an angel or a passed over loved one might come and say something, give them a message or whatever. It's a really beautiful once in a lifetime experience, and it just changes people's lives. It changed my life and just changes people's lives. Yeah, it's incredible.
But John, how did you actually decide to do this? What path led you to even contemplate this? And also tell people what QHHT actually stands for, because some people don't know what QHHT is. They know,
Yep.
They might know what the word hypnotherapy is, but they also don't know the difference between, say, QHHT and clinical hypnotherapy, and what even is the difference.
Yeah.
So firstly,
Okay.
start with what led you to this?
I actually, a long time ago, when I was a little boy, I was always interested in psychology and the mind. And my parents were very big on your mind is the most powerful tool that you can use. And I always remember growing up in New Zealand, being a Kiwi boy. I always remember watching the All Blacks and the All Blacks trials. And it really struck to me that every athlete is basically the same athlete physically wise. They train the same, they're the same weight, they run the same pace, basically. The biggest difference is what's going on in here, is their mind. So I was always really fascinated in the mind. And then I remember growing up as a boy, I was watching like the hypnosis shows, the Paul McKenna's, and I was into the mentalists, like people that were mentalists and how they could work people out. I was always very, very curious. And then sort of life just took another turn. And as it does, I had many life experiences. But then when I was sort of around about 37, 38, I always, my whole life, I always knew that there was something more to life. I knew that what I was doing, I just felt and I just had a knowing that there was more to life than what I'm doing. I didn't know what that more was, and I didn't even know what the purpose of my life was at all. I was just going through the day-to-day strut, just living my life, just, and the habit of just what society tells you to do, just doing your job and getting on with it, chasing money, trying to get a nicer car, trying to get a nicer house, doing what society tells you to do. But there came to a point where I sort of got to a point where I just knew that there was more. So I always wanted to learn NLP. So I did an NLP course. And that was
Tell
really
people what that is. Sorry to interrupt you, because the thing is, you know these things. You just assume people know what NLP is.
It's I think it's neurological language patterning or something like that. So it works in your mind with pictures, basically. And that was really good. It was really good for at the time, and I thought, wow, I could use this to help other people. And then so I learned to be a practitioner, which I loved, but it wasn't really what I was looking for. And what really got to me was the guy who sold the course sold it for a lot of money, like he was making a lot of money out of it. And I asked him, I said, how do you get somebody to stop smoking? And he sort of balked and he avoided me and sort of walked away. But I'm a curious person, and I keep nagging him. And he actually said to the class, well, I charge $5,000 for a stop smoking package if anybody's interested in stop smoking. I was like, $5,000? Who the hell would want to pay $5,000 when you can go and see a hypnotherapist for $150 or $200? Like that, they got to have rocks in their head. And then anyway, so he sent me an email about a month later saying it was a skydiving package, and if you can conquer your fear skydiving, well, then you can conquer anything in life. And the package was like, I don't know, $2,000 or something like that. And I had the thought again, going, why would I spend $2,000 on skydiving if I was scared of it, when I can go and see a hypnotherapist for one session for an hour and go and conquer that fear? And I was like, oh, it's hypnotherapy. That's getting deeper into the mind. So then I studied clinical hypnotherapy, and me being the person that I am, I studied if I was going to take it seriously, I really take things seriously. So I didn't want to do a weekend course or anything like that, because it was just surface level, just sort of fluff stuff. So I went in and really dug in. And the course that I did was, they actually made you get up in front of people and actually do a full session in front of the teachers. And I was like, well, if I'm going to do something, that's what I want to do, because I don't want to fluff. I actually want to do. So it was about a 4-month course, and then I was loving it, absolutely loving it. I was getting right into the mind and how the mind works, and human behaviors and human patterns and conditioning. And then as part of the group, because it was a 4-month group, you sort of form friends and you sit in the same tables. And then as part of that course, there was an off course by the same teacher doing past life therapy. Now, I didn't really believe in it. I was just like, well, I'm so clinically minded, like in the psychology part of things. I just wanted to know how the brain worked. But a lady came up to me and she said, John, you really need to do this. And I had a feeling that she was right. And so I talked to the trainer, because the course was starting the next day. And I talked to the trainer and said, I'm interested in doing the course. And she said, oh, there's no more spaces. And she actually said, well, I was actually going to ask you if you'd be volunteered to come in and get hypnotized and go through it. And then, so I was a bit gutted. And then she rang me that night and said, oh listen, just pay the money through the account and I'll put you into the class. So I learned that. I think it was about a 5-day course, I think. And I learned that. So I started learning about past lives and spirituality. And then I think it was on the 3rd day that I'll never forget this, because I walked into the class and people being creatures of habits. So you usually sit in the same desk, just like school kids sit in the same desk next to the same people, just learning the same things. But on this day, there was a projector up and there was one seat right behind the projector. And I just had such a strong gut feeling that was for me. So I sat in the seat, and the morning class was all about doing a tribute to the past life therapists, the greats. So Dr. Brian Weiss was the first one, and the trainer was talking about him. He wrote a fabulous book called Many Lives, Many Masters, sold millions and millions and millions of copies. And he was a psychiatrist over in Miami, in Miami Hospital. And he's just a fabulous, beautiful, beautiful man. And then the second one was, second tribute was to Dr. Michael Newton, who did Life Between Lives. And it was talking about him and he was based over in the States. And then the third person was a lady called Dolores Cannon, which is this beautiful woman up here, and it was actually that picture. And as soon as her picture came up, and I was right in front of it, I just went. And in hypnosis, we have a thing called eye lock, and it's when people put themselves in a state really, really deep, and people put themselves in it sometimes, and it's when somebody's staring at something, and you can go like this, and they're just a million miles away. That's called eye lock. Their eyes are focused on something, but they're so deep into their mind, into their thought, that they're consciously not registering what they're seeing. So I had that. So Dolores Cannon had me in eye lock straight away, the split second that I saw her. And then what I noticed was this beautiful aura around her. And I've never, ever seen an aura. I've never seen one beforehand, and I've never seen one after. But hers was just this beautiful, beautiful light blue just all around her. And it was sort of shimmering, and it was like almost like fire. And then around that was this beautiful white. And it was just this pure white. And it was a bigger band than the inside one. And then around that, there was 3 layers that I saw. And the last one was this deep blue. It was really, really blue. And the trainer was saying something, but I had absolutely no idea what she was saying, because I was just focused on Dolores. And then I heard in my voice, and I could feel the love from her. I could just feel the love and compassion that she had. And I heard it in my voice, and I'd never heard anything like it before. And it actually said that they thought I was quite mean. And I was like, who could ever think that you were mean? Because what I was feeling was just such love and compassion, and just the knowledge. And then I don't know how long I was in there for, but then the trainer moved on to the next person. And I was back then, I was never one to put my hand up and ask questions or anything like that, because I was just a good boy student. But I knew that the trainer had did a training course with Dolores Cannon. So I actually put my hand up and I said, you did a training course with Dolores Cannon? And she was like, yes, I did. And I said, and I asked her, and I said, okay, right. And I said, what was she like? And the trainer was talking, and then she sort of finished what she was saying, and then she came back and she goes, oh, she was actually quite mean. There was a lot of us who thought she was quite mean. And it was word for word for what Dolores said.
Wow.
And she said something else too. The message in my head said something else, but I can't quite recall it. But anyway, it was word for word of whatever I was hearing. She actually said it back to me, and I was laughing on the inside, because I knew that she was just so loving and so warm. And I actually found out later from Julia Cannon, Dolores' daughter, at that time when she was doing the class in Australia, she was actually writing, she'd actually just written Convoluted Universe 4, which is a series of 5 books. But the publishing date was coming up really, really quickly. She only had about a week, and she wanted to edit her book. So she was trying to lose 300 pages of the book, because the book was actually, I think it was like 1,300 pages or something. It was some ridiculous amount. So she was trying to cull 300 pages, but she was teaching at the same time. So then she didn't have much time, because after she had to go and edit her book, because she only had a couple of weeks to get it published. So she was just such a busy human being. Like, crazy busy. So I could see why somebody could have thought that she was quite mean. She wasn't mean. She was just really, really busy. So, and then I'll just turn it off. Sorry. So then I did the past life regression class, which was amazing. It was so cool, and we were still doing the clinical training as well. And then what I found was the students were getting the clinical therapy there, but it wasn't really sticking. So then at lunchtimes, I was like, well, why don't we do a past life regression? And just a really, really quick one, because we sort of got taught that it has to be over 3 hours. But because I'm a thinker, I was like, how can I modify this so I can get it down to an hour and get a really, really good result? So then I can do it at lunchtime. And I worked out a way pretty quickly. So then the next lunchtime, I was in the lunch hour. I was actually getting the class students to come down, and I was doing a past life regression on them, on their problems. And
sorry to interrupt you. Was that one by one, just one-on-one as such, not the whole group?
No, just one-on-one. I didn't want to tell the trainer what I was doing, because it was very much going against the grain and what she told us. She told us that it was impossible, that you can't do it in that amount of time, and it has to be 3 hours, all that sort of stuff. So I was doing my classmates in lunchtime, because the trainer was actually going down to the shops and having her lunch down the shop. So she had no idea until a couple of days later, about 3 or 4 days later, when she was noticing that people were coming out, but they were like crying and like really sort of getting back grounded, because I put them under so quickly and so deeply, and it was so healing, that it didn't take long for the trainer to work out what I was doing, and she just ripped shreds into me. So, which I actually took it as a compliment, yeah, because the students that I was doing, they were so grateful, and they were so happy, and the results were just so amazing. So I finished the clinical studies, and then I was always interested in who Dolores Cannon was, but I sort of put it in the back of my mind as just a curiosity. And then I'll never forget this. I was out hanging the washing out, and it was in July, and that voice came back to me. So this is a couple of months after. So I was doing my clinical stuff. I was doing my clinical clients and my past life regression clients, and having so much fun. And it was amazing what I was doing. And then I was hanging out the washing, and then I heard that voice come back, and it said, "You're going to learn my way, so do it now." And it was so stern, and it was so matter of fact that I knew exactly who it was. And I didn't even finish hanging out the washing, and I signed up for her online course right then. And the course, they give you 60 days. There's like 25 videos or something like that to do the QHHT, quantum healing hypnosis technique, the online course. They give you 60 days to complete it. I did it in 2 days, because everything that Dolores said, I just resonated with. And she was giving me all the answers to all the questions that I had about hypnosis and about the technique. And I was really, really curious in how her technique helped people like cure and heal their own cancer, autoimmune disease, healing of the body. I was so curious in how she did it in her technique. And once she was going through the course, she broke it down so beautifully that I could completely understand where she was coming from. And I could just feel the compassion in her. And so then, so I did that. So I was ringing up all my ex-clients going, well, I've learned this new technique. Do you want to try it? Come in. And because they knew who I was and they felt who I was, they were more than happy to come in and try anything new. So I had no problems getting clients, and they were telling their friends, and it sort of snowballed from there. And then I did the level 2 class, which was in Sydney, and that's where I wasn't going to do it, but I had at the last minute. I seem to get things at the last minute. At the last minute, because I didn't have the funds, because it was in January. January's the worst time, especially when you got kids and all the rest of it. So my wife sort of did a deal and got me in at the last minute. So I flew down to Sydney, and that's where I met Julia Cannon, which is Dolores's daughter, who is the CEO of QHHT now. She was with Dolores the whole time that she was teaching. It was sort of a combined effort, and I just really, for some reason, I really resonated with Julia Cannon. And then as part of that class, we did a voice training part of it. So where you get sort of one-on-one tutoring with a voice coach, just to really hone in your technique. And my coach was a beautiful lady called Suzanne Spooner. She had flew in from the States to come and do it. And the second that I met Suzanne, it was just one of those connections that you just know that this is a really deep connection. Like, I don't know how I know you, but I know you. So from that moment on in the course, I was asking Suzanne Spooner, because she's the number one practitioner in the world. She was very much the apple of Dolores Cannon's eye, and Dolores personally trained her. So from that moment on, I was asking Suzanne so many technical questions, just about the process. And from that moment on, she very much took me under her wing. Her and Julia Cannon sort of got together and said, well, we've been looking for someone like him for so long. Dolores was looking for someone down here in Australia for 20 years that they could sort of trust, and who was keen and sort of resonated with the technique. And for some reason, lucky me, that they just had a feeling that it was me, and that they put so much time and effort into growing me as a person. And then to get my level 3 qualifications, you have to be doing it for at least 12 months and have 135 sessions under your belt. And it was funny, because when the level 3 certification came up, it was in Byron Bay, which is only 45 minutes down the road from me. And you had to do it live with Julia. It was only Julia doing it. They only did it like once a year then. So I couldn't believe my luck. Now, this is the real cool part of the story, is because I hadn't been doing it for so long, I think the level 3 started on, I think it was the 20th of July or the 21st of July, something like that. And Julia Cannon, when I was talking to her about it, when I was thinking of applying for it, I talked to Julia, and she said, well, you know that you have to be doing this for 12 months. When did you start your level 1 course? And when I was hanging out the washing, when I got that message to do it now, it was the exact same date. It was July, I think it was July 21, 12 months before.
Synchronicity.
If I hadn't listened to it, or just put it off till the next day, I wouldn't have been able to apply for the level 3 certification. It was all timing. Beautiful. Yeah. And then I'm just so lucky. I'm just so blessed how things have worked out, because before the level 2, before the level 3 certification, they did a level 2 training class in Byron Bay. And because I just love the atmosphere and I love helping out. So I very much volunteered to go down there and to help Julia out and the other trainer, Kaya. I was lucky because I said, I'll do anything. I don't care what I do. I'll shine your shoes. If your shoes are dirty, if you want me to shine your shoes, I'll shine your shoes. I'll do anything that you want to do. And I said, well, I'll even pick you up from the airport if you want. Because I thought, wow, what an opportunity just to spend with the trainers, to have the opportunity to go and pick them up from the airport, to drive them to the hotel. And then the other trainer was Kaya. And I was always good friends with him. So since my level 2 training, I become really good friends with all the trainers, and Suzanne Spooner and Kaya Wittenberg and Julia Cannon herself. I always remain really good friends with them and in touch with them. So when I went to pick them up from the airport, Julia Cannon wasn't there. So the training started on Thursday, and this was on Tuesday afternoon. So there was something going on with her passport, and they wouldn't give her the visa to come in. So Julia asked me if I'd be a trainer for it. I was like, oh my God, are you serious? So I actually helped train the level 2, and it was the first time ever since 2002 that either Dolores Cannon or Julia Cannon weren't the trainers in a class, and they passed it on to me. I couldn't believe it. I was just like, my God, how lucky am I? Just the synchronicities. And that's what happens if you just follow your own intuition and just listen to it. I think they asked me because I can sort of control that nervousness. I still get nervous, but it doesn't stop me from doing what I need to do. So because I know that if I'm feeling nervous, it's only a part of me that's feeling nervous. So the other part of you is probably really, really excited. So what you've got to do is you've got to connect with that part of you that's nervous, and you've got to find out what it wants, and you've got to isolate it and find out where it comes from, because usually it's the little kid in you that's really, really nervous and doesn't want to do things. So then if you can talk to it and just isolate that part of you and tell that part of you, why you don't have to do this, let me do this. Let the bigger part of you do this, not the nervous part. But then the nerves go away. And then you can just focus on what you're doing. And
so you're reassuring the kid.
That's within you. Yes, that nervous part of you, yeah, because it's not you that's feeling nervous. It's only a part of you that's feeling nervous.
It's a great tip.
So once you isolate that part and find out what it wants, because it just wants to feel safe, then you can start communicating with it. We're all made up of lots of different parts to us. There's a happy part, there's a sad part, there's a work part, there's a home part. Jill, you're a mum now, so as soon as you become a mum, as soon as you have that baby, there's a new part of you that forms, and that's a mum part. Because a person who's never had a child, that they don't know what it's like, because they haven't had a mum part form inside them. So that's why somebody who's never had a child will give you advice on how to be the best mum in the world, but they haven't actually experienced it, because they don't have a mum part. So this is why I explain to people, this is why when people are at work, they've got their work part that's dominant. But then when you're having a beer with them or see them at a social event, because that work part isn't dominant, that they can actually be almost a completely different person. They're relaxed and they're happy and they're joyful and they're laughing. And you're like, wow, who are you? This is a different side of you that I haven't seen before. That's because whatever you're feeling at the moment is the most dominant part. So if you're feeling stressed out, well, then that stressed out part of you is dominant, because the happy part of you is so far pushed deep down that it can't dominate the stressed out part. So what you've got to do is you've got to isolate that stressed out part and go, what am I actually scared of? Because once you change the perspective and go, well, what am I actually scared of? Well, then the feelings go away because you're acknowledging it. That's the first thing is, well, that's only a part of me that's stressed out.
Oh, so John, so then you did that, and then you did your level 3. So you told me the other day that there are 30,000 QHHT practitioners, but only 30 who've got level 3 in the world. And then that's the top level that you can achieve as a QHHT practitioner, isn't that right?
Yes. Yeah, that's right. So I did my level 3 certification with Julia Cannon, and the process is you hand in a video of one of your sessions, and then Julia will evaluate it. It's a very hard test to pass because there's no written exam. There's no, you don't know what there is to pass. Julia will either just say, yes, you've passed, or she'll say, you need to go back and work on a few things. So it's a very hard one. It's a very hard test to pass. That's why not many people pass it. There's been thousands of people try that haven't been successful, because we don't actually know what Julia's looking for. Now that I've passed, I know. So I felt I couldn't get my video to go, which is just synchronicities, because I felt that I wasn't at that level anyway. So I was quite happy that my video didn't go, because I'd rather spend the 3 or 4 hours, and I told Julia this, I said, I'd rather not hand in my video because I don't feel like I'm good enough to pass anyway, but I've got a million questions that I want to ask you. Can I spend 3 hours of your time and just ask you questions? Because I want to know what Dolores did when this happened, or someone who came in with stage 4 cancer with lung cancer, and I know the process that I use, and I've been taught by Dolores, but I wanted to ask Julia, how did Dolores do it? And I really wanted to really fine tune my own skills. So I kind of left my ego at the door, knowing that there was no way that I'd pass because I wanted to get more technically sound.
Yes.
And I was more curious. So it took me about 4 or 5 goes. Suzanne Spooner really took me under her wing, and she was saying, if you tweak this in your sessions, or if you ask this question instead of asking this question, well, then the result will be so much better, which is exactly what I want, because I just want the absolute best results for my clients. So I was so grateful for it. And Suzanne Spooner was very, very hard on me in a loving way, just like Dolores Cannon was very hard on her. But because we came from a space of, we're not taking it, I wasn't taking offense from it. I was actually grateful for it, because she was bringing out the best in me, which is all I wanted. Yeah.
So John, for the listeners who are listening, what would they need to ask a hypnotherapist if they've never been hypnotized before and they're interested, they want either a healing or, to help themselves heal, whether it's emotionally, physically, mentally, or they're on that spiritual path, how do they know which hypnotherapist is the right one for them?
I always say, get in touch with them. Actually get in touch with them, and just get a feeling. Just go with your own gut feeling. Yeah. If you feel like someone's just a salesman, well then, and if you get a feeling like that, well then go with somebody who you feel that you can trust, because the number one thing between any therapist and any client is trust. You have to trust the therapist. If you don't trust them, your subconscious will put a block up, and your conscious mind will put a block up as well. That if you don't trust the therapist, the session's just not going to be the same. And you'll get a very surface level session.
So some people say, "Oh, I can't be hypnotized. You can't hypnotize me." What do you say to that?
That's because what they think hypnosis is they think that it's what they see on TV. They think, their conscious mind thinks that they're going to say something that they don't want to say, or do something that they don't want to do. So they think that they're going to be out of control. Whereas hypnosis is just dropping your brainwaves down so that you can fully concentrate on either the picture in your mind, or you can concentrate on what you're saying or what you're doing. The outside world, it's there, but it's sort of just it's just in the background. Now, it's usually men that say that. Usually men go, "Oh, I can't be hypnotized. Nobody can hypnotize me." So that's a control thing. That's because they don't want to get it wrong, so they're not even willing to try. Now, the truth is, for men, the best hypnotist in the world is that idiot box called a TV. Now, for men, the TV will hypnotize them in about 30 seconds flat. And a really good example of that is the TV will put them in a state where they're just so fully concentrated on it. So if there's a sports game on and a man's into sports, so say the rugby game, and they're fully focused on that rugby game. So their wife could be going, talking over here, but it's just background noise. The wife could actually be yelling at them, but they're so fully focused on that footy game, they're actually hypnotized. That's what hypnosis is. And they'll know, and their wife could be doing naked cartwheels in front of them, in front of the TV, but they just won't notice it because they're fully focused on the game. And they'll know that they're really, really deep, because they'll be like, that it could be coming up to halfway, to half time, and they'll say, "Wow, I can't believe there's only 2 minutes to go to a half time. That's gone so quick. Where did the time go?" That's because their brainwaves have dropped down into quite a deep alpha state that time lapses. So that's for men. So anyone can be hypnotized, especially men. Now, for a woman, the example that I use for a woman is if you're in a cafe somewhere and you're catching up with your sister or your mum or a good friend, and you're having a cup of coffee or you're having a glass of wine or whatever, and you're just fully engaged in the conversation, and it's just the two of you, and there's sort of background noise, but you're not really worried about it. It's just background noise, but you're really focusing on concentrating on what each other's saying. You've actually dropped each other into hypnosis and not even been aware of it. But you're actually dropped your brainwaves down, because the rest of the world doesn't really matter. And for a woman, it could be 2 hours, and you'd just be like, "Oh my God, it's 2 hours. I've got to pick up the kids. Oh my God, where did that time go?" That's what hypnosis is. It's just focusing on whatever's going on in your mind, hypnotherapy is just you close your eyes. So then as soon as you close your eyes, your brain waves have dropped down, because your brain doesn't need to use the power to look out for danger and that your eyes are seeing. So really, technically, as soon as you close your eyes, you're in hypnosis. But you go through different depths of hypnosis. So and the deepest depth that you can go to is gamma state. So theta state is kind of when you're it's when you're in bed and just before you wake up, and your body feels really, really nice and heavy, and you know you're not asleep, but you're not fully awake, but you're like, oh my God, this feels so good. I don't even want to get out of bed. I can't even be bothered moving my arm. That's what most hypnosis is. 99% of hypnosis is that. If you can get into that level and just focus, yeah, it's awesome. But the deepest state is gamma state. So that's when you channel.
So, John, what do most of your clients come to you for?
Most of my clients come for QHHT sessions, because that's really finding out about who you are. It's finding about what are you actually doing here on this earth? Like what's your purpose? What's your mission here? You know, we're not here just to pay bills and to die. So people bring in a list of questions of anything. But the main question is what's my purpose in life? How do I achieve it? Some people like to explore their past lives, or they want to know about the future. If they're confused about the future, they want to know about that. It's anything. If people have any weird or wonderful experiences, I get a lot of people that have UFO sightings. So they want to know about that. Some people have weird and wonderful experiences that they just can't consciously know of. I've had a couple of people that they've had relatives that have died, that have been murdered, and the police just have no idea who did it or what happened. That they've actually come in hypnosis, I've asked their higher self what happened there, and because their higher self is connected to the universal collective consciousness, it tapped in, and so they actually saw the story of exactly what happened, which is just amazing. It was so healing for their family, because it really solved that puzzle to them of what actually happened. It's 100%. I've had people that are curious about Atlantis, so they'll go and explore a life in Atlantis. People with body ailments, anything. Hypnosis works amazing for it. I've had people that have visited like past relatives. I've had people that have lost children. Their children have died, and they've gone straight up to the spirit world, and they've seen their child. It's just so, and the child's beautiful, and they're doing fine, and it's just so beautiful. So that's the QHHT. Yeah. So what we do under hypnosis for QHHT is we just take them back. We completely 100% believe in the higher self, and the higher self knows best. So the higher self will show them a story in their mind, or an image in their mind, of what's right for them, no matter what it is. It could be a childhood memory, it could be a past life, it could be a future life, it could be an experience on a different planet, it could be absolutely anything. But there's always a reason behind it. So we find out what that reason is.
About death what do your clients say about death?
As in the dying process?
As in actual, like death. Is it anything to fear? What happens?
No. It's nothing to fear. What happens is people think that they're their body, but we're not our body. We just have a body. It's just a vessel. The real us, our soul or our spirit, our soul spark is within us. So then when the body dies, then the soul leaves this density, it leaves this 3D heaviness, and it goes up into the spirit world. And then that's a whole another adventure. And this happens over and over and over and over and over again when we do past life healings or QHHT. They'll actually die, and then they'll be relieved when they're out of the body, and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe how heavy that body was. And then in a QHHT session, it's actually one of the most common things is because we're in contact with their soul spark or their higher self or universal conscious, whatever you want to call it. When they come back into the body, when people come back, they're like, oh my God, this body's so heavy. I never realized how actually heavy it is. This world is so dense now that I'm back. So it's certainly nothing to be scared of. This is just an experience.
So
this is a human experience.
Why are we living now, all of us here on Earth?
To experience. But it's up to the individual what they want to experience and why they want to experience it. So this is where a QHHT session is down to the individual. It's why are they even here? Why are they alive at this time, especially at this time? So that's usually one of the questions that we ask their higher self, and it could be there could be a million different reasons.
So what would you say?
It's really up to that.
Yeah, what would you say to them? They said, I didn't choose to be abused by that man. I didn't choose to experience this illness. What are you talking about? I didn't choose those kind of parents. I would have chosen apple pie and cream. Are you insane? Why would I choose that?
That's the questions that I'd be asking their higher selves, because what we're doing is that's their conscious mind. That's their human mind going, why on the earth would I choose this for? This is ridiculous. A great example that I give to that is I had this beautiful client come in. Now, she had a horrendous growing up. Horrendous. Like, her brother sexually abused her, her dad sexually abused her. Like, she went through so much trauma, her uncles, all growing up. It was a horrendous childhood. Really affected her, really emotionally affected her. When she came in for a session, she was like, I didn't choose that. Why would I choose that for? And she was angry and she was bitter and all the rest of it. So in her session, that's one of the questions that I asked her higher self. So I asked her higher self, because she's answering me. I'm talking to her. I said, why on earth would she choose that? Why on earth would she choose this experience? And the higher self said, it's because she's a sexual counselor. This is her path that she's going to be on. She's going to empower women to find their sexuality again and embrace themselves. So no matter what they've been through, they can find their own power and come into their womanhood instead of holding on to it. This is why she chose to go through that, because this is her calling. Now, no one can understand what a woman's been through completely unless they've experienced it themselves. So she chose to experience that, And now she's gonna get her qualifications and be a counselor and be a healer and all that sort of stuff. But she's going to be the living proof that you can get through this. She's going to be she's going to be up there. So then she's going to be the real deal, and not just say, oh, well, this or that, or, you know, you should do this or you should do that. She can actually say, I've experienced it and I've pulled through it. And when she came out, she listened back to it, and her whole life changed. Her whole life. She was just so focused, and I'm telling you, she is the best sexual counselor in the universe.
So, John, do you think really hypnosis is like going into a dark room and switching on the light?
It could be, yes. I've never heard of it that way.
Well, neither have I. I've just thought of it right now. Because you're like putting a spotlight on something. You are highlighting it and you're shining the light so that they actually can see. So what was dark before will no longer be dark.
It's getting a bigger perspective on things.
Rising above and looking
at rising up
from a bird's eye where you see the whole playing field instead of just a worm on the field.
Yes.
So the whole story.
It's the whole story. It's the whole story, and you'll find out of who you actually are.
Yes.
Because people don't even know who they are. That they think that they're this body. They think that I'm on my job. You're not your job. You're not your bank account. You're not your weight. You know.
So who's John Mcluckie?
Who am I? I'm John Mcluckie. And this experience, this is the body that I'm in. The real me is the soul spark from here. The real me is just to remind people that they have a spark as well. They have that spark within here. That spark is connected to the universe. If you can get your mind out of the way, because that's just a learnt behavior. Your mind is a learnt behavior. It's learnt how to be that way. If you can listen more to here instead of here, well, then your life will be amazing, absolutely amazing. So, who's John Mcluckie? I'm having this human experience now to remind people that they have a spark. They have a spark within them, and if they have any shit in their mind that they need to deal with, well, then I'm happy to help out as best as I can.
So you're the little generator, you're the push button to get the motor going again, to let them see that they have got a spark there that can get ignited.
Totally, 100%, yeah. And that's my job. Is I'm not here to give anybody answers. I'm here to ask the right questions so that you can get the answers yourself. Because once you connect to that and you can get the answers yourself, you don't need John Mcluckie.
So they've got the toolbox and you just give them the key to open the toolbox.
Yes.
And then all the tools are inside and they all belong to them.
Yes,
okay.
100%.
So if somebody wants to actually get hold of you, because it looks like you've had so much experience and over so many different fields, how do they get hold of you?
I've just rebooted a website. I've got many websites, but Gold Coast-hypnotherapy.com.au. Just jump on that, or just Google John Mcluckie. I'm sure that you'll find me on there. I've got a YouTube channel, John Mcluckie, QHHT level 3 practitioner. I've got so many sessions that are actually online. No, obviously not as many as Alba Wyman or Jill Cole, but I've got lots online. If you're into Dolores Cannon, just Google Dolores Cannon. I've got lots of really rare videos that I've dug and found of hers, really rare amateur videos of interviews and stuff like that.
And do you only see people in Australia?
No, it's online, all over the world. I help with anxiety is huge at the moment. Anxiety is so easy to heal. Oh my God, it is so easy to heal. So many people in Australia here, they're doing a big push for anti-anxiety medication. That's because the big pharma have they've really pushed. It used to be antidepressants, and now they've gone to anti-anxiety medication, which is the same thing, but they've just put another name on it so then they can sell more products. But what that does is that just numbs the receptors. So I always say like this: if you have, I use this now. If you have a piece of steel in your hand, there, that's gonna cause problems. Okay, if you don't deal with the cause, eventually that's going to get infected and it's going to spread. Now, it could cause infection in the hand, and you could go to a doctor and get Nurophens or painkillers, and it's going to stop the receptors up here, but it's going to spread. It's going to get worse. It's going to worsen. It's going to go up your arm if you don't deal with it. You can go and talk to somebody about it and go, man, there's something wrong with my hand. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. You can talk about it for years. It's going to spread. Hypnosis, I always say, I'm the poor guy that's going to go, well, here's the cause. Let's look at the cause of this. There's the cause. Okay. Now, this may be a little bit painful, it may be a little bit emotional, but I'm the one who's going to pull it out, bang. And you might shed a tear, might be one tear, might be two tears. But as soon as I do that, well, then the symptoms go away. It's like hypnosis is like magic.
Well, John, you know what? What we'll do is we'll put your details on this video so that people can contact you. And
Awesome.
I just want to thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me. And just Google Dolores Cannon, because she's just absolutely amazing. She's an amazing human being, and I'm so grateful to have her in my life. Even though she passed in 2014, she's still very much with us. So,
and we're grateful for the John Fractal that's here and helping so many. So when you come to Wanaka, come and say hello.
I'll be doing more than that. I'll probably be bunking. I'll probably be bunking there.
And is there any last message you would like to give to the audience?
Yes, love life. Life loves you. Love life. It's amazing. That's my all-time favorite quote from another hero of mine, Louise Hay. She's very much a teacher of mine, and I just adore her as well. That's why I have her book up there. You can heal your life because you can. And once you do, you love life because life loves you and things happen for you.
So guys, if you think that you're worth it and you can start investing in yourself and loving yourself, instead of getting that new dress, new pair of shoes, actually invest in yourself as you would in a chiropractor, physiotherapy, anything, a massage. Maybe it's just time to dig deep, as John said, and see where that steel is, that little piece that's hurting. And with that, until next time.
Oh, Joel, can I just say one thing?
Yes.
Self-love. This is the number one key to self-love. Stop criticizing yourself. Just stop it. Stop putting yourself down. Stop criticizing yourself. If you look in the mirror, stop criticizing yourself. Stop it. Stop putting yourself down.
Well, you chose that image for this incarnation, so you must have had a reason for it.
That's right.
Maybe
Love
that's
yourself.
one of the questions. Why did I choose this image? I mean, I would never have chosen red hair. I would have gone blonde, tall, with a good figure, not short, not red-haired, with freckles. So there must have been a reason for that.
That's because your life would have turned out differently. You wouldn't be where you are if you didn't.
That's also true. That's also all the components. That's why I love that song. What do they say? I love your perfect imperfections.
100%.
Well, enjoy the Gold Coast and your gorgeous beach.
Thank you.
And I'll come
every day.
Bunking with you as well one of these days.
Yes. I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. So thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Until next time, cheers.
Thank you.